Oh man, what's up guys? I gotta admit, this was kind of tough to pick the very first project to review, so I want to pick something that was both classic and relevant with the movies coming out and the political climate going on. And what better film to review than the classic 1982 Blade Runner? Let's get into it. I think some of the biggest questions with these classic, a lot of the movies just are not that good when you go back and watch them, but do they hold up? And does this revolutionary project still hold up to this day? Is it still relevant? And do the themes apply to what's going on today? Literally today, because I'm in Los Angeles and it's set in 2019, which is right around the corner. If you haven't seen it, I don't know where you've been, but spoiler. Now, the original Blade Runner was released in 1982, directed by Ridley Scott. The original box office score was about 27 million, but it was made for 35 million. However, there have been 7 different versions of this movie released because once it came out in theaters and people were able to step back and appreciate it, it was unbelievably inspiring for so many creative artists in the industry. So, what is this movie about? The big concern going on in this world is mankind has now blurred the lines between man and technology, man and machine, but machine in the sense of these new humanoid creatures they've created called replicants, identical to humans in almost every single way, even physically superior. What he did was he gave them 4-year lifespans, so they would not be able to fully take over if that would ever happen, and they were banned from planet Earth. The movie follows Detective Deckard, a Blade Runner, and Blade Runner has nothing to do with his actual job. It's just a really cool name they threw into it. His job is to retire these replicants, to hunt down any rogue replicants that are still on Earth. His job is to hunt them down and kill them or retire them. Now, Deckard retires from his job. However, he's called back in the line of duty when 4 replicants escape from their off-world planets and make it down to Earth for reasons unknown. And that is the general plot start of Blade Runner. Let me give you my critic review of Blade Runner. It's a 5 out of 5. I mean, it is absolutely spectacular to see what Ridley Scott was able to accomplish. I mean, every single shot is a work of art. I mean, honestly, to the point of when you're watching the movie, a lot of times you get distracted from the conversations going on just to take in the world that he has created around it. The meticulous detail is unprecedented. It is, you can see the strokes of a master craftsman. But what truly makes this movie great as a film is the script. It does a great job of discussing some macro problems and struggles that people have, such as meaning and purpose. Every single one of the main characters in the movie are struggling with this. However, you can see a heightened version of it in the replicants because they only have 4 years to live. So you get to see people like Deckard, who is a retired Blade Runner, who is at one of the top food chain positions. He even says in the movie that if you're not cop, you're little people. He had a job that he was great at and he had a lot of admiration for it. However, his job, he could not find his meaning, his purpose in it. Likewise, Tyrell, who's designing these replicants, who in essence is playing God with these people who are still ending up being flawed because you're putting yourself in it. He is also shown to be a very unhappy, lonely, isolated person. At one point in the movie, he's not even sleeping. He's just alone in this tower by himself checking stocks, and gets a call from his apparent only friend who's just a sick employee who he plays chess with. It's not exactly what you think the hierarchy would be living this lavish lifestyle as. It's the same struggles that are universally experienced by everyone. Now, as a viewer, if you're gonna go into this movie just to buy a ticket, sit down, know nothing about it, you're actually not gonna like it as much. I'm gonna give it a 3 out of 5. The characters are actually very unlikable. For example, the lead, Deckard, is actually a very depressed drunk who is somewhat bad at his job. I know they say he's a good Blade Runner, but he seems to have really struggled with every single person he encounters. Likewise, the lead girl, Rachel, has this air of superiority, talking down to people about her, and when she comes crashing down to Earth, she still kind of maintains that and is very cold and standoffish through most of the movie. Also, these two have a love interest that seems to spark almost out of nowhere, ending with a romance borderline on sexual assault. And the replicants themselves, the villains, the antagonists of the movie, you do latch on to them a little bit, but then you see the unbelievable horrors that they do trying to accomplish their goal in the movie, that it's hard to really care and latch on to them as well. But faith is where it gets really interesting, and I'm going to talk about this movie through the lens of faith. Are there any biblical truths or principles that I think I can draw from it? Also, though, are there any values that I think are universal and needed and appreciated right now that we could talk about? And you see this happen to so many people in life when they think that this is all that they have, this world around me, so why don't I just dive full force into all these relationships or abuse this or try to just focus on money or focus on material things constantly because all I want to do is just overdose on life. And you get to see this in a condensed version with Batty when he's trying to go after Deckard. And in his last moments, Roy Batty even releases a white dove, which is a clear symbol too of the Holy Spirit in the Bible. It's as if it finally took and he finally understood after all this crazy life experience what was going on. Then Deckard is just sitting back, seeing this micro compressed version of his own life in front of him, and he himself was trying to be self-destructive and destroy everything about him, killing himself with alcohol and other like crazy advances going on. However, these replicants came to Earth just to get a few more seconds of the life that he was just piddling away. He gives them a whole new perspective on life. I think it's a great example too of it doesn't matter what your situation or class is, you're not going to find true purpose or meaning just because of the situation, job, or money that you have in the movie. Like I said, all the main players are somewhat miserable throughout the entire movie. They're all looking for something more. They're trying to find that meaning, that purpose. I'm so happy to say that Blade Runner does hold up, and it is not something that can be taken out of context to push any political weird agenda going on right now. This is something that's universal struggles that people are always going to be dealing with no matter what culture you're from, no matter what background you're from. There is something from the movie you can definitely take away from, and I am so happy the nostalgia was not fake. It really is that good of a movie. But does the sequel hold up? Gotta check out the next video. And that is my Rebel Reel review.